Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the beginning of the last days. What an incredible weekend, a lot going on. Pretty concerned about some things in the United States of America. We'll get to that a little bit later. We have an amazing guest today. Many of you have heard about Vera Sharav, and she is got a new movie that she'll be touring with and talking about what she knows about the world, and she knows an awful lot. So I just opened my Bible as we went to get started, and I love to, um, ah, excellent. I love to see what my dad looked at in the Bible. He's got this Bible covered from stem to stern with all of his underlinings. And so I opened it up. I can open to any single page, and he's got a whole bunch of things underlined. So today my eye falls to Matthew 25, verse 30, and it says, "And cast you the unprofitable servant into outer darkness, there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth." I believe that we're beginning to see a time when weeping and gnashing of teeth is beginning to show itself because the globalists are being exposed. We are seeing that exposure. My concern is that they just keep coming up with new lies. The other thing that my husband and I talked about this weekend as we drove down the highway to go and have some wonderful family time um, with our kids, one of the things we said is, how do we ever go back to normal? I don't know if you feel this way, but what this all did was exposed how many people are completely able to be hoodwinked, hornswoggled, is that a word? By what's happened. How many people do you look at and you go, I never thought they'd fall for this? I didn't think that everyone would believe the government so intensely that you'd take anything they told you to take, whether it was tested and tried. Didn't matter that in order to have a good vaccine, you need 7 good years, a whole lot of testing. That didn't seem to matter. What happened was everyone just freaked out and they just did whatever. Now, not everyone, but way too many people did whatever the government told them to do. And those same people, they're all running around. They're still wearing masks when we aren't being told we have to. Never mind, it's just pretty peaceful, and there's now a video out about COVID being basically related to as now it's our new flu. But all of these folks so living in fear. Fear is a horrible, it's a horrible impulsive thing that guides how we feel. If we get scared, we do certain things. Fear is now used globally by evil people to scare us, and most people don't see that. They think everything they see on the news is potentially real. So that's why we're here every day. Just to warn you, we're going to have to let go of YouTube and Facebook today. We're going to head over to Rumble. Soon as we can get that link into the comments, Shane, we can do that. Many of you heard just before we get to our esteemed guest that President Trump said on Saturday that he expects to be arrested on Tuesday. I'm not sure if that's been walked back. Seems like there'd probably be a lot of lawyers going back and forth today talking about how to do that. Unbelievable. It's unprecedented. No, no former president has ever been put in handcuffs. So I've been listening to a lot of commentary, and the people in the know do not feel there's any case at all. This is ridiculous. How about we go after Hunter Biden for sex trafficking? How about we go after Hunter Biden and Joe Biden for their alleged collusion with China, for receiving payments, for being paid basically to be silenced? How about we check out if Joe Biden is actually compromised as a leader in the United States of America, thereby putting all of us at risk if they've got stuff on Hunter Biden? I mean, this is a joke. You're going after the wrong people. So you can't take it too seriously, everybody, because maybe you've seen already that their tactics do not work in the long run. It's all, once again, fear and, putting out the wrong message. So let's look at one video. Governor DeSantis comments on New York District Attorney being funded by George Soros in pursuing the Trump charges.
So I've seen rumors swirl. I have not seen any facts yet, and so I don't know what's going to happen. But I do know this: the Manhattan District Attorney is a Soros-funded prosecutor, and so he, like other Soros-funded prosecutors, they weaponize their office to impose a political agenda on society at the expense of the rule of law and public safety. He has downgraded over 50% of the felonies to misdemeanors. He says he doesn't want to even have jail time for the vast, vast majority of crimes. And what we've seen in Manhattan is we've seen the crime rate go up, and we've seen citizens become less safe. And so you're talking about this situation with, and look, I don't know what goes into paying hush money to a porn star to secure silence over some type of alleged affair. I can't speak to that. But what I can speak to is that if you have a prosecutor who is ignoring crimes happening every single day in his jurisdiction, and he chooses to go back many, many years ago to try to use something about porn star hush money payments, that's an example of pursuing a political agenda.
And from what I understand about all of this, and seems to be lost in all of it, is that Mr. Trump claims he's completely innocent, and that in actual fact, he just got rid of a problem like many people do. Sometimes you just have to do an out-of-court settlement to just tell somebody to shut up who's lying, because it's just not worth going forward. I don't know. In any case, it's stupid and dumb, and I can't believe what they're up to. Now, just before we bring on a final video, before we bring on Vera today, but because she understands things from Israel, I would like to talk about how Newsmax put out a video basically this morning. There's a proposed law that would outlaw talk about Jesus in Israel. So this is interesting. Take a look.
A big story just before, days before Palm Sunday, Good Friday, and Easter. Sacred time for Christians. Two ultra-Orthodox members of Prime Minister Netanyahu's coalition have introduced a bill that would punish believers for sharing the gospel of Jesus with prison time. United Torah Judaism Knesset members Moshe Gafni and Yaakov Asher introduced legislation last week making it illegal to share in conversation or produce content online, in print, or by mail. Their explanation of the bill emphasizes a warning to stop Christians in particular. The punishment, 1 year in prison or 2 years for sharing with someone under the age of 18. Joel Rosenberg is the host of the Rosenberg Report and editor-in-chief of All Israel News. He's also a Jewish follower of Jesus.
Obviously, Jewish people don't agree with Christians, evangelicals or others, about who Jesus is, right? We all know that there's a theological difference, but evangelical Christians and other Christians have been so supportive of Israel and the Jewish people. So to silence, to muzzle, and gag even Israelis like myself and others to say, you can't talk to another person about your faith and why you believe it, that is terrible. That is not freedom.
Although he doesn't agree theologically, Netanyahu has always been a strong friend of evangelicals, speaking at meetings and believing freedom of speech and freedom for Israel's small Christian community should be protected. Now, should this bill gain traction, it could spark a serious clash with the 60 million evangelicals in the United States and 600 million around the world. Gafni first introduced a ban on evangelism in 1999. It went nowhere. United Torah Judaism is in a stronger negotiating position now, though, since Netanyahu needs to keep the party in his coalition, or it could threaten Netanyahu's ability to remain in power.
Okay, well, of course, I contacted my favorite everything about Israel he knows, and that is Giulio Gabelli, Pastor Giulio. And he said that there is a very right-leaning extremist party that would be petitioning for such a bill and putting pressure on PM Netanyahu. But the evangelical Christians in the U.S. and Canada have great influence with PM Netanyahu. And so I don't think at this point that this law will go through. And I hope not. So let's bring on the amazing Vera Sharav and get her her viewpoint on all of this. Vera, thank you for waiting in the background. It basically came through during COVID that you began to speak out on a whole lot of things, and you're a Holocaust survivor and director of a new film that we want to highlight and play a clip of that's coming up. Just give me your brief take on this bill trying to be pushed forward in Israel. Uh-oh. She's frozen. All right. Okay. Well, let's we'll just wait for her to link back on. And let's go to DeSantis actually talking again about this digital currency and what he thinks about digital currency being attempted to be put forward in the central banks. Take a look.
However, given the risks associated with the federally sanctioned centralized bank of digital currency, today I'm here to call on the legislature to pass legislation to expressly forbid the use of CBDC as money within Florida's Uniform Commercial Code. This will ensure that Florida continues to be a state that supports innovation in the financial sector through the market while protecting against government surveillance over your personal finances. But our legislation shouldn't stop there. Given the continued increase in Chinese influence in worldwide affairs and increase in plans to adopt CBDC worldwide, our legislation also prohibits any CBDC issued by a foreign reserve or government-sanctioned central bank.
I think this is something that is concerning all of us. Do we hear Vera coming back on? No. Okay, for some reason, Danielle, do you hear me?
I do.
Okay, you just knocked our guest off, but hello. Could we give you a call? Could you hang up?
Yes.
Okay, bless your heart. Thank you. All right, let's get our guest back on. Yeah, we'll give her a call back and sort this out. There is going to be a debate between the Ottawa MPs on the call to have Trudeau's chief of staff. Now, everybody's waiting for this. This is what we need. Katie Telford to testify in relation to foreign election interference. That is what we really want to see happen. And, you know, the MPs that are in power there in Parliament are asking for that, but of course they don't want to do it. Let's look at this video from CBC reporting on a new book alleging the U.S. ran an investigation into Chinese activities in Canada in the 90s, of all things.
Former member of the intelligence service, an analyst for the U.S. National Security Agency, has confirmed American agencies were concerned about Chinese activities in Canada. And a former CSIS senior intelligence officer tells us he was aware of the U.S. operation. Well, Michelle Juneau Katsuya, says Canadian policymakers have been ignoring warnings from him and others for decades. Katsuya joins us now from Rimouski, Quebec. Michelle, thank you so much for taking time. We know this story keeps evolving. How serious is China's political interference from your perspective in Canadian politics?
It became extremely serious, and it became extremely dangerous also for our democracy, for our system. I was the chief of Asia Pacific for CSIS in the mid-90s when we were corresponding with our U.S. counterpart, and we were exchanging data, we were exchanging worries about what was going on. When we published our report, it was totally cited, and nobody wanted to pay attention to what we were saying. At that period of time, we could have been capable to probably mitigate the threat that China was starting to engage against us. Today, it has evolved to the size that now the revelation of the Globe and Mail tells us. And this whistleblower is doing us a service to reveal what all government, every party, every government has ignored for decades now. So it's not only this current government that is at fault. All previous governments were also ignoring what we were saying.
Isn't that fantastic? Wow. So whoever that whistleblower is, we just want to do a collective round of applause, a standing ovation across Canada for you telling the truth. And you know what? Pretty bad when Trudeau actually wants to go after the whistleblower, rather than talking to us about how CSIS is saying that there's Chinese interference, and apparently that's been going on for decades. Well, we have got our guest back, Vera Sharav. Thank you so much, Vera, for waiting in the background. You are the founder and director, right, of an organization. Tell us about that, how that came about.
Well, the Alliance for Human Research Protection, and what we focus on is unethical experiments in medicine and unethical practices. And now with COVID, my God, the entire medical system is kind of being turned on its head. Instead of helping people, instead of getting them well, we have a situation whereby medicine is actually used to kill. Medical
Exactly.
murder.
And so, Vera, we appreciate you have a very special perspective on this because of being a Holocaust survivor, because you have lived some history that is revelatory for what we've been going through at this time. We're going to say goodbye to YouTube and Facebook. We love you. We just want to honor what their rules are, and we don't want to get in trouble with them. So we're going to say goodbye to you. Please, everyone, very important, head straight to Rumble right now. The link is in the chat, and we'll take this up with you on Rumble. All right, goodbye. Sorry about that. And Vera, could I just play the trailer?